COP28 summit. In fact, what happened at COP28, many of us are aware of what happens there in regards to climate financing, and climate conversations. And it's always a rather difficult. A lot is happening over the course of the summit, over the course of days, negotiations and agreements. However, we don't know all the details. But in regards to Trinidad and Tobago's position and what has happened following COP28, an individual who is best probably to explain that to us and to further the conversation. He is a PhD candidate and teaching associate at the Department of English at the University of Massachusetts, Mr. Giles Masses, and he is with me in studio this morning. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing? Season's greetings.
Season's greetings to you.
Well, in the midst of all the Christmas celebrations, well, as they were really beginning, COP28 took place, and many of us were asleep actually while that was happening because it was taking place in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
However, significant agreements to come out of this. Really, if you can give us a summary of COP28.
Yeah, sure. So let me begin by saying climate summits have a bad rep because they're conceived as all talk, no action. But COP28 was significant, relatively significant, for the fact that it actually delivered on at least two things, which I cover in my recent column. One of those things is the Loss and Damage Fund. Now, that requires governments with more advanced economies to contribute to a fund to help vulnerable countries, such as our own, deal with the effects of climate change. Now, that Loss and Damage Fund is difficult in itself because it attempts to quantify something that is inherently unable to quantify. Like, how do we, for example, the cocoa industry, how do we put a number? How do we track that extent of damage then, right? So the Loss and Damage Fund was problematic to begin with, but it at least started, it at least got started at COP28. And a few countries pledged up to about 800 million US. And it seems like a lot, but it's actually quite a drop in the bucket when we think about the extent of climate change and the impacts of it. So that was the first thing, the Loss and Damage Fund. The second major thing was they finally agreed on a language with which to describe the move away from fossil fuels. Now, we know that fossil fuel exploration is one of the main drivers of climate crisis. And the sort of transition away, as they call it, where they put a language to fossil fuel, moving away from fossil fuels. And they wanted stronger language such as phase out, but they actually agreed on transition away instead. So again, a bit vague, but it at least was something that they could finally agree on.
Which is interesting because that was the peak conversation from COP28. Yeah. Agreeing that deal, the jargon, the language that was being used was heavily debated over the last couple of days, so much so that there were thoughts at one point that a deal was not going to happen, it was going to collapse.
Yeah, yeah. And this fuels like the bad reputation, right? Like, because there are conflicting interests on so many different levels. I mean, it's sort of summed up in the actual COP28 president, Sultan Al-Jaber, who is, get this, he's the president of COP28, special envoy to climate change, but he's also the CEO of the national oil company. So it's that sort of conflict of interest that kind of it reveals itself in how to actually find a language then, because at some point you're going to be sort of selling out, right? And it's going to affect the profits, in this case from Sultan Al-Jaber, who has a very, very vested interest in oil, but also has to wear the hat of climate change. So I think it's also an important thing is getting the right people in those positions, and I don't feel that Sultan Al-Jaber is the right person.
That's the thing. These contrasting, stark contrasts. You have an individual who is basically the head of a major oil company, a major global oil company, and also the president of one of the biggest, if not the biggest, climate pact, globally. The thing is that does that only add to people not taking it seriously? Yeah. People saying it's a complete waste of time.
Yeah, and I think it's Yes, I think it's also acknowledging those limitations, like environmental action has money in it as well, right? So it's also satisfying that sort of that conflict of interest where you can sort of gain a reputation or gain fame from being the COP28 person, being the face of the major climate summit in a sense. So yes, that absolutely is a problem. There's also something to be said, I think, about the people on the ground and, you know, small communities, small organizations doing the work. Like I've been doing work for Climate Tracker, which is an NGO throughout the world, actually. But I'm part of the Caribbean contingent. So we're also very much questioning these systems of power as well. And also just like being here talking about, like, I don't know how many of your viewers would know that, you know, salt and algebra, for example, had that sort of duality. And I think it's sort of like, if you were to think about our Trinidad and Tobago context, like, we're trying to do both things, and it's conflicting as well.
Yes, it is rather conflicting because, again, another contrast is that while COP28 was happening, Prime Minister Dr. Rowley, with good intention, was in London signing a new agreement with major oil companies. Before we get to that, though, I think one of the things that really struck most people who followed COP28, and if I'm being honest with you, I don't think many Trinbagonians followed COP28, which is why it's important to have such conversations, is that the Sultan made a claim about a lack of science that does not support the theory that reducing or the phasing out of fossil fuels exploration, drilling, consumption would help with our target of 1.5 degrees Celsius. The world is getting warmer. He made that statement, which was interesting because that actually goes against what scientists and the United Nations has been preaching to the globe for the last few years in particular.
And to go back to COP27, Prime Minister Mia Mottley in Barbados said like 1.5, that's it. If we cross 1.5, we're pretty much doomed. And I know this is probably not the best way to start the day, so I apologize to your viewers. But this is where we're at. And his comments before COP28 just sort of revealed what we already know about his conflict of interests, because the International Environmental Agency, the IEA, had already said, like, we need to reduce fossil fuel exploration, gas, which includes LNG, by the way, by these percentages in order to keep it to 1.5. Like, the 1.5 is actually inevitable. So it's really just a matter of damage control at this point.
Damage control. Okay, so let's get into Trinidad and Tobago focus. We are a small island developing state. We are very much vulnerable to the effects of climate change. We are already experiencing such. The cocoa industry is experiencing that. The plants are actually suffering extremely from the weather conditions that have changed so dramatically. Even our coastlines, we're seeing coastal erosion at quite a phenomenal rate. That being said, we've taken a position where the Minister of Energy, Stuart Young, has said, we're going to extract every single ounce of fossil fuels so as long as we can. But at the same time, we're also pushing for some sort of compensation or some sort of help or aid, given our position as a small island developing state. We're going down on a rather sticky path, aren't we?
Yeah. And let me just say, to rely on this loss and damage fund is something that I think is dangerous, because for a couple of reasons. Now, around the loss and damage fund, there was a problem of who's going to host this money, who's going to hold the money, right? And there was sort of trepidation around the World Bank for kind of obvious reasons, like it's held in a reserve, it typically runs on loans, so it further indebts nations. And we're still not clear who is going to be getting this money. So to rely on the loss and damage fund to begin with is something that I don't think we should really be considering at this point. But to your point about this sticky path, like, we talk about the future of energy, and that was one of the things that came out of the restructuring deal, the LNG, Atlantic LNG deal that you mentioned in London. We talk about the future of a sustainable energy future, but we're not really talking about our climate future. And I think that lends itself to the fact that we're noticing these things happening around us. The cocoa industry, for example, we're noticing lower yields, and we're also noticing that farmers are having difficulty like sustaining their own livelihoods, right? Like, so the loss and damage, it also attempts to help communities with their livelihoods and those impacts as well, which is also difficult to quantify. So it's that sticky part, like you mentioned, like where's our attention really? And you know, I'm actually at the point where I'm wondering, can we actually do both? Like, we're wedded to energy, unfortunately. That is the deal that we've been, that's the hand that we've been dealt. And now I'm wondering, like, can we do both in a sense? Can we from that profit to be had from those energy deals, can we direct that into a sustainable climate pattern?
And that is the thing. I mean, you said it yourself. We're wedded to energy.
Yeah.
The thing is that I will say that our interest in terms of, green energy, or even in the sense of diversification, has been rather poor. It has been. Yes, we are wedded to energy. Our economy is reliant on such.
Yeah.
But the thing is, at the same time, whilst we can't afford to move away from energy at this point, we also can't afford to deal with the effects of climate change.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of transition that we can look at that will be inclusive of all factors?
Yeah, and this is one of the talking points also of COP28. Like, it's what's being called a just transition, which is a future that is inclusive, that kind of satisfies everyone, everyone's interest. Now, that is inherently difficult to do. Nonetheless, in that just transition, there's also talk about how we're going to move away, how are we going to create sustainable energy forms. And I think one of those things to consider would be a national roadmap, like setting specific milestones along the way. And it's also important to have accountability. But now, accountability requires good governance. So we need to find the right people, right? We can't have algebras in the positions, right? We need to have people who are committed to climate change and actually not, who don't have conflicts of interest in energy or in non-renewable energy, I should say.
The thing is that also if we take a look at TNT, the argument anyone is going to make to you, Jarrell, is simple. We're looking at LNG. Yeah. We're focusing a lot more on LNG. It's a cleaner form of fuel. Yeah. Is that just?
So LNG, that is very misleading because we talk about it as cleaner. It's only cleaner compared to oil because the fact is that methane emissions from LNG are actually up to 80% warmer than carbon dioxide. So it's actually more dangerous. And let me tell you this, and for your viewers, now, in 2022, we were the 4th largest producer of methane emissions, right? So those emissions that we're unable to contain, and per capita, I should say, right? So we're creating a big impact. And back to the loss and damage fund, it's even questionable if we can call ourselves a vulnerable country because the amount of emissions that we're producing, we are on par with some of the global nations. So should we really be looking to the loss and damage fund? Would they really consider Trinidad?
Well, that's the thing. So we're even in jeopardy already in regards to that because of our own actions. Yeah. Well, that is quite amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Because the other big factor in recent times has been climate financing. Yeah. How do smaller underdeveloped nations actually get some sort of financing for green energy or a transition away? Yeah. Solar farms has been explored. We see what's happening already in TNT with regards to solar farms, but there's also wind energy and the potential for that. Yeah. The thing is, are we also putting ourselves in a position where we might actually fall victim to that climate financing conversation, that debate where, you know what, TNT, you're not taking this seriously.
Yeah, and that's the real problem, right? Like, And that's why I said I don't think we can rely on this loss and damage fund. We don't even know when funds are going to be distributed, and so I think one of the major focus has to be how can we sort of redirect the profits to be had or supposedly to be had from deals like the Atlantic LNG restructuring agreement. How can we get funds from that and channel that into a sustainable green energy project, actually sustainable? You talk about wind energy, that requires a lot of investment. And then there's the question of foreign exchange. Like if we bring investors who are doing that wind energy infrastructure, they're not going to want to be paid in Trinidad dollars. And we have a forex problem. We've been having it for quite some time.
Gerald, you've hit so many. We've gone into so many. It's very easy to expand this conversation and elaborate it. But going into 2024, and I know that at the end of every year you said, you know what, this year wasn't so great, you know, maybe next year. Yeah. It's easy to see that. In fact, it's always easy to make these promises or, as they say, resolutions. But it really doesn't matter unless action is initiated. Are you seeing any efforts at all?
So, yes, in some areas. Now, the NCCP, which is our National Climate Change Policy, it was created in 2011. It was only recently updated in 2022, and it's before Cabinet. It's waiting for approval, like I suppose many things. Now, we need this approved, right? Because we're already lagging behind the advancements of COP28. So we need those stakeholders who have the document in front of you, please. You need to get this through because we need to update it. So that's the first thing, right? We need that NCCP document through because that can help us devise a sustainable national roadmap, which could then include renewable forms of energy. We also need aspects of that. We need some harmonization between the oil exploration and gas exploration deals into that climate change plan. So what are the profits that we're actually having? We need to be transparent about this dragon gas deal that's been touted about. And therefore, how that money is going, how that profit is going to be distributed. And can it be distributed? Can there be something worked out by way of allowing us to use some of that money and work on a renewable energy infrastructure in the meanwhile? So I think those two things, it does bode well for us if we can get it right. And we need the right people in those positions.
But TNT also finds itself in the position, as much as their efforts that you've just mentioned, we're not very much different, it seems, to the Sultan of Jaber. Because we are still we have strong interest in oil and gas. So exactly what are we advocating for? That is the confusing part, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is where if the government isn't able to do this kind of work, like we need to empower small organizations. We need NGOs to get funds to do this kind of work, to do this kind of advocacy, to lobby international organizations on behalf of Trinidad, because I don't think we can rely on the Ministry of Energy, at least.
Well, I would take it one step further. I don't think we could even rely on the EMA, but then again. Trill, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
There's so much. I mean, your column actually mentioned a lot, but I'm so glad we were able to have this conversation and expand this a bit further.
Yes.
And should we make progress or should we take steps backwards, you'll see yourself in the seat once more in 2024.
Hopefully I'll have better things to say.
Hopefully. But thank you very much for your time and all the best in the year ahead.
Same to you.
Take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, there you have it. Now you have an understanding of exactly what COP28 precisely was, what happened there and the negotiations to deal. Simple things such as the jargon in these agreements and the language that is used could actually mean the difference between progress and, well, the world just having one more argument against each other. But TNT finds itself in a very difficult position by our own doing in many instances. However, what is the roadmap ahead? And that's exactly what Jarrell was questioning this morning, and he certainly has opened up my mind, and I know he's opened up your mind to a lot more. We take a break on AM Prime, and when we return, like I said, this hour this morning is dedicated to nature. We're going to speak to someone who refers to themselves as a professional bushman. We'll be right back after this.
comes naturally to us. Unstoppable energy. We use it to manifest a future. A future where energy takes new forms and is used in new ways for all of us. The new age of energy is here.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain.
Let the home store turn your house into a home you love. We offer household items, lawn and garden, paint center, hardware, plumbing, lighting and electrical, toys and storage solutions. And just for you this Christmas, come check us out for great gift ideas and all your Christmas decorations.
6 convenient locations: 6th Avenue Barataria, The Falls at West Mall, Pennywise Plaza Chaguanas, C3 Center Branch, Christmas Store at C3 San Fernando, and Eastgate Mall, Trin City.
Check out our Facebook page for more information and come visit us today. The Home Store. Turn your house into a home you love.
Bill and Ruth fell in love with the Benjamin Moore color Dry Sage, but they tried to match it using another brand's paint.
I mean, it's close enough.
Almost identical, really. Yeah, there it is.
Never trust another paint to be a Benjamin Moore color.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former Mayor Louis Lee Singh. Available at all the Home Store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Chaguanas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue, St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook. Metropolitan Bookshop, Ariapita Avenue, Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
So we had a conversation about TNT's position as a small island developing state and how we are feeling the impacts of climate change. Now we're going to speak to an individual who really has surrounded himself with nature, and nature has surrounded itself with him. He is referred to, or from a professional standpoint, as a conservationist or nature enthusiast. But as I introduced him before we took our last break, he's a professional bushman in many instances. And that's not even meant as an insult, because that's something I admire. I actually admire that. For an individual that has a great fear of anything that crawls, I know, welcome to the program, Mr. Nicholas Walker. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning.
How are you doing, man? Season
Good
greetings to you.
Thank you, same to you.
And I appreciate our conversation off air, or I suppose introduction to this conversation, and I want to start there because we'll go into your background story. But really, if I describe you as a conservationist and nature enthusiast, someone who really just likes the bush, as they say in Trinidad.
That's really it.
That's really it. But why would you prefer to be referred to as that?
I wouldn't prefer to be referred to as that, but it just, that's what it is. It's somebody who just, if you see me on a daily, I am somewhere in nature, somewhere in the bush. On a daily, I think it's my home. It's therapy.
It's therapy.
For me, yeah.
Therapy in what sense? Therapy is it's where you find yourself?
Yes, it's not in any cliche term of finding a therapy. It's peaceful out there. On any day, I can just go and sit by a waterfall, sit by a river, most likely, sit by water. And yeah, you feel calm. The songs, the feeling, it's peaceful.
If we took a look at your background, you played football, you've represented Trinidad and Tobago, you've played in the MLS,
Yes.
and you've traveled the world. From living in concrete jungles, from traversing through concrete jungles, from playing in big national stadiums, how did you find yourself in this position? What drew you back to nature?
Well, it's always part of me. Growing up, where I grew up in St. Anne's, it's just part of me. It was in me to be this. It's something I grew up with. I grew up with my grandmother, and it was something she always instilled in us to just be one with it. After around 10 years abroad, that same grandmother fell sick in 2018, and it brought me back home. I decided I needed to be back home. And after returning, she passed away like 2 months later, and I decided, yeah, I'm just gonna stay. I'll stay here and figure it out. And less than 6 months, this came about, where I would take my friends to different parts of Trinidad to see Trinidad. And eventually, it turned into a business, basically. So now this is what I do full-time, just take people around Trinidad to see different aspects. By traveling, I was able to really, really, really appreciate home.
How much of a role or an impact did your grandmother play on this transition?
Oh, Granny is it. Granny is the whole, she is what this is. My grandmother is one who didn't really grow with an education. She was one of those, like she just made things happen. And just to see her on a daily growing up, like when it comes to planting stuff, and in her older days, is something she passed on to us, like make sure your yard clean, make sure you're planting this and you're doing this. And just to see her in one with nature, making sure the place is always kept. And we had this thing where we were young guys, a lot of us growing in one house, and we would go out and like hunt on a daily. I live both sides, used to hunt, and now in conservation, And it's always like, whatever you kill is you eat. Whatever you kill, you eat. So I never had this whole thing of just going out and kill. We go out and kill something, eat it. And it's just these little things that she will instill in us that I grow with now, She really, really stamped who I am into me today.
Now, when you were abroad, and you said you came back to Trinidad, what is it that being away from TNT helped you to realize or recognize about Tobago? Did it build a greater sense of appreciation in you?
Yes, I think gratitude is one, to just be grateful to be able to be outside. We're in December now, and I can be outside. That's just one aspect of it. I could be outside and not feel cold. I could be topless, jersey. I don't need to be there. That is one simple aspect of it. Two, I've been to places like Thailand and Denmark and all these places, and I think the visuals or the things you will see on TV, we have it right here. It might not look as fancy, it might not look as vibrant, but we have it here. People go into all these islands to do these different things. We can do that here. We can go to Tobago. We can go down the islands. As I say, it's not as vibrant as the things you would see abroad, but we have it here. if we could invest in it a little bit more and take care of it a little bit more, appreciate it a little bit more, it's worth it.
There's something that you've touched on, and that is, I don't think people are aware of what we have. You've actually realized what we have.
Yes.
And to a certain extent, the work that you're doing by really taking people on exploratory journeys, it really helps them to open up their eyes as well. But at what point in time did you realize that there's a great sense or a great lack of appreciation for TNT's environment, for TNT's natural ways, TNT's natural trails, what we have to offer?
Yeah, I think it stems from any way you look, especially in nature, outside of the city. You see man, you see humans, you see their trail, you see where they were, meaning you see some type of garbage. That is one small aspect of it. Everywhere you go in nature is garbage, and I think that is one telltale sign of lack of appreciation. That is one thing you see abroad when you're out there. The place is clean. Whether it is there's a government body or people in charge to take care of that, that's clean. I think places like Germany, there are incentives for picking up trash. Mm-hmm. So you encourage people to keep the place clean. Whereas here, it's different. Sometimes you'll see people make a mess and you'll ask them why, and they don't even have it. It's something that's passed down. They see other people doing it, parents doing it, whoever, and it's just something that is passed down to them. So that's just one of the things I can tell that Trinidadians appreciate Trinidad.
You've taken that as also a personal mission, because you
Yes.
are trying to encourage people to get be more aware or explore more of what TNT has in terms of flora and fauna. How has that mission panned out so far?
So far, it's finding its way. It's finding its way. Just being authentic, be myself. It's finding its way. It's finding the people. A lot of people, through my work, are understanding. We didn't know we had this here. A lot of people, whether it's a space, like a waterfall or a temple or something, or animals in general, people are starting to understand, hey, we have things here. We don't need to travel that far to find our way, to find our things, to see the things that we want to see. Like dolphins, for instance. I remember doing a work down the islands, shooting dolphins. I was able to post about that, and people didn't know that we had dolphins here, bottlenose dolphin. We always think that we have porpoises. And I remember people was like, nah, that's not dolphins. And we had to tell them, yeah, we have these things here. So it's finding its way. Slowly and surely it's finding its people.
Now, on a more personal note, what are some of the adventures in Trinidad that really has, well, what you could point out and say, you know what, this really was one of my favorites, and this one I will definitely remember?
I think it would be camping with the boys at the top of El Cerro del Ripo, which is our tallest mountain.
Done that? Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah, that in itself, that whole experience was, I think, for the year, probably my highlight.
Tell me more about even deciding to do this, the journey to Cerro del Ripo and camping there. Please.
Well, as we started, I have a group of friends that they are the professionals. I am just an enthusiast. I'm just somebody who loves nature. These guys actually study, and meeting these guys, they've been able to help me bridge the science, which is what they know, to be able to tell my story to the regular people, as we would say. The whole experience, I remember we were looking for a frog, the golden tree frog, a frog that hasn't been photographed in many, many years. And we just took it upon ourselves, like, let's just go find this frog on a random, it was like a random Tuesday. We just like, let's go find this frog. And we climbed, it was like a 5.5 hour climb to the summit, but we ended up having our camping grounds and went up there, find water, and just spend the night just able to just walk out in the night, see little things, which is like mostly small things, almost bitten by a snake up there. It was really, really an interesting experience.
What is the environment like up there?
Wet. Wet. Everything is wet. Trying to start campfires and Everything is mossy and soaking. But again, all of that is part of the experience, you know, be able to tell like, yeah, we slept there.
Now, were you guys able to photograph the golden free frog?
Yes, but it was on our second journey. So the first one, we didn't find it. We climbed El Takush like a week later, and we found it. It was actually on a branch. They live in a bromeliad. I remember we were just looking, and it just hopped out.
Are those frogs poisonous?
No. Trinidad don't really have any poisonous frogs, to be honest. We have toads, we have the crapple, everybody will talk about. But other than that, most of our frogs, they might give you a rash if you're sensitive, like the milky tree frog. But other than that, you're fine.
What are some of the animals or insects that you've come across that really also has enveloped itself within your mind?
Snakes. Snakes are my thing.
Almost being bit wild.
Snakes are my thing. I don't know, something about them is unique. They are very unique in my eyes at least. To be able to be an animal with no limbs, you crawl on the floor, but yet you catch birds that fly. I think it's, for me, if that's just one thing about them that stick out to me. But I think I'm a little bit fascinated with snakes and frogs.
I am fascinated by snakes as well. Not sure about the insects part, but I'm fascinated about snakes as well.
They're interesting.
Let's also focus on the journey thus far, where things have just fallen into place at times. Like working with the BBC when they were here recently.
Right, that in itself was, I don't know, a different kind of alignment. I guess randomly got a call from, my aunt, my friend's mom. One day, she's just like, hey, I knew the week before I went and I found, my friends and I, we found the troop of white-fronted capuchins. And I was able to get some nice footage of that. And 1 week later, or less than a week later, I got this call from my aunt, and she's just like, hey, you want to go with the BBC to find the monkeys? They're like, we know you found it a few days ago, or whatever. You might just go and just carry their bags, but you can go along with them. It might be a good opportunity to talk with them, and, you know. I was like, for sure. Why not? For sure. This just came knocking on my door. Why not? And I went there just basically to just carry their bags. I was not like the lead tour guide or anything. I just went there to just be part of it. And when I went there, I met my other two friends, the other two people that I went the week before and found the monkeys. They were there, but on the other side of like with forestry and whatnot. It was crazy. Again, we all just bounced up. And like while walking through the forest, we were there for a couple hours just walking through, and we weren't able to find any of the monkeys. We saw some red howlers, but we didn't see the monkey that we wanted to find. And after a while, I remember one of my friends, Sabira, she was just like, hey, let's just tell them we'll take them separately and find these monkeys, that where we found them. So I told them, like, yo, let's go, just the camera crew, not everybody else, because there's a lot of people, too much noise. Let's go separately and where we found them. And we walked there, and within like 10 minutes, I started hearing a call, and from that, I started calling back. So the monkey was making a noise, I would whistle back.
Really?
Yeah, the monkey would make a noise. As a male, they would make a noise, like a territorial call, and I'll whistle back. And I guess he came to find what was making this noise, and he came over and he realized, but there's no monkey. And he took off, you know, and it was a real nice shot for them. They came across, it ran through the bush, they ran after it, and eventually got so tired, had to stop, and they finally got the shot that they wanted. You know, and that in itself was, it sealed it for me, like this is what you need to be doing. You're doing the thing that you need to be doing.
Yeah, you've relived the locals to Attenborough.
Yeah, inspiration for sure. That's an inspiration for sure. Him and Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin.
Yes, those are
the crocodile hunter. Steve Irwin.
That's my inspiration.
Yeah, Steve Irwin. As a kid growing up,
come on, once you're into anything nature,
Steve
was the man.
Yeah, he is different.
Yeah, it was him. It's his essence. It's his essence. It's who he was.
He just did.
You know, it was easy for him.
But there's another part of your whole demeanor which I find astounding. You tend to do these things barefoot.
I'm lucky I have on shoes.
Why?
Again,
I mean, you think about it, right? You're taking a hike, you're walking a trail, and you're doing it barefoot. most people wouldn't venture out of their house without a pair of slippers.
Yeah, most of my things I do barefoot. I still not foolishly would just go into somewhere that I don't know at all. Like going to like Maruga last week is somewhere we don't know, and it's the type of forest where there's a lot of thorns. I wouldn't. But most places on my everyday, I will walk into Massey barefoot. Like that's just who I am. You know, it's just something I grew up with. Again, growing up with it. Whether it was the lack of just being able to have it, which I doubt that is, because I remember being able to have shoes and slippers.
But is it
It's
like a comfort
it's
zone?
It's comfort for me. Like for me, I don't like wearing shoes and stuff. It actually at this point hurts my feet. I feel like it's the same sensation as people who have braces. Like when you have one of these braces, like it hurts your teeth. My feet has now been shaped by nature. So now when I wear shoes, it's like trying to. Nah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Have there been any journeys like really that you've taken barefoot that just, I mean, walking with barefoot alone through most trails, put it that way, is amazing.
Yeah.
But any journeys as such, or long journeys or difficult journeys that you've done barefoot?
Nah, because you can just go at your own pace. Just take your time. Like if you're rushed, then yeah. But for me, the point of walking barefoot for me is to take it slow. Is to be able to go slowly. Everybody on this fast pace. Everybody want to go fast. For me, with no shoes, I have to go slow. I have no choice, and it allows me to see things. I'll be able to see more things, and if I have guests on a hike, I'm able to see animals and be like, hey, look at this, because I'm going slowly, taking my time. That is the point. You know, it's not just the grounding and whatnot, which comes with it. It is, let me go slow.
I read that you actually walked from Port of Spain to Maracas and from Port of Spain to Grand Revere barefoot.
But not fully barefoot. It was alternating between shoes because there are times where the pitch gets hot.
Scorching.
It gets hot. But in Maracas, easy. It was very early morning. But Grand Revere, yeah, you had to alternate because walking on the road itself, it's hot. But yeah, it's a comfort thing.
I'd take my hat off to you with that one, man. Well, again, what do you think you're in a position where you want to divorce yourself from the urbanized world and focus more so on being in nature?
No. When I tell people what I do and this whole Bushman thing, I think it comes with balance, and that is life in general. Balance. I love everything, not everything. I love a lot of things about society, like being able to go to the bank, or Wi-Fi, or being able to order food from time to time. So there are luxuries, or conveniences, I should say, that I enjoy. I'm not trying to tell people live a life off-grid fully, and no, that's not what this is. This is to have some type of balance, like get up in the morning and plant something. You know, like that is very important. That's therapeutic for me, at least, to get up and do some weeding, take care of yourself, be able to take care of yourself. That's important.
Certainly, yeah.
You know?
I think that aspect of balance, it's living your life, many people, inclusive of myself, to be honest with you, is something that we need to practice a bit more.
For sure.
What has nature taught you about yourself? What has it helped you to discover about yourself?
Well, it's helping me. It's still helping a lot. It's again, I think it's the calm in going slow. That is very, very important for me to just take it slow. Like I have friends that they live in life, you know, this whole life of having all these things, whereas I'm coming slowly. Is to have the patience. I think nature is patient. Everything goes slowly. You see the trees take their time and they grow, and the water doesn't force, it just flows. These things, for me, it's important. And that's why it's been told by nature. Yes, take your time, everything in its time.
And you are willing and wanting to pass on these messages, these lessons,
It's important
and
for us
even this exploration to people.
Yes, it's important too. I think if we take our time and see nature for what it is, the essence of what it is it's important for somebody like me who are very comfortable, and not a lot of people are comfortable with in nature, to pass it on. You know, for the ones who want to learn about it, that is. It's not something you should be forced to do, it's something that you should want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like learning your home, like somebody come over to your home for a visit, you need to be able to know where the light switch is. You need to know your home to be able to invite others over. And it's the same with Trinidad, like we want people to come and visit for Carnival, and we want to do, but you all don't even know all your own home. You know, so it's important. I see Trinidad as like your home, like a house. You have to know where the faucet is and where the switch is. You know, you need to know it, so that when people ask you, without even looking, hey, it's over there, this is there, this is what we have here, you know, that is important for me.
Well, Nicholas, before we bid farewell, people really want to get in touch with you and go on a journey or an adventure and learn more about Trinidad and Tobago. How can they contact you?
You can check me out at ICNTT34 on Instagram. That is like my main space for contact. You could go on there and see the whole journey, everything that we do, the videos of like Dominica or anything on Trinidad you would like to find out. Exploring TT34 on Instagram. That is my place.
Exploring TT34. Nicholas Walker. Wow, man, thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I haven't gone out. I really, like, post-COVID, I did a lot of hiking. I really appreciated it. But even sitting down and having this conversation has really, there's a lot more to be learned, man.
Of course.
A lot more to be learned.
You need a whole hour and something to sit down and actually break it all down. But at least some of the viewers would get an idea of what I do and, you know, who I am.
Certainly, Nicholas. Well, thanks a lot for your time this morning,
Appreciate
man, for the work that you do.
man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Nicholas Walker joining us. An appreciation of Trinidad and Tobago's environment. We can appreciate it, but nature appreciates us. What do I mean by that? 5 minutes outside and you learn a lot, whether it be about the environment that we live in or whether it be about yourself. Really, if you only knew what Trinidad has to offer, I can tell you, I remember watching a documentary, it's called Wild Caribbean, and 45 minutes out of that 59-minute documentary was on Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this.
Here is the WESN News on the Hour. I am Sira Ali. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Quaker Oats granola bars and Wana Bana applesauce pouches recalled. Ignite safety matches found to be unsafe. 2 men dead and another wounded following shooting in Tobago. Regionally, Caribbean Court of Justice sentences former Suriname president to 20 years in prison for 1982 murders. Now for the details. Quaker Oats has initiated a recall of its granola bars, citing salmonella contamination detected in over 24 cereal and granola bars. The Ministry of Health underscores the severity of salmonella, a dangerous bacterium that can lead to severe illnesses when it enters the bloodstream. Simultaneously, the Food and Drug Administration in the United States has issued a recall for applesauce pouches produced by Wana Bana LLC due to elevated lead levels. The FDA specifically identifies 3 Wana Bana products subject to the recall: apple cinnamon fruit puree, Schnucks applesauce pouches with cinnamon, and wee cinnamon applesauce. Lead is known to be toxic to humans and can pose risk to individuals of any age or health status. Consumers are urged to check their purchases and adhere to the recall notices to ensure their safety and well-being. The TNT Bureau of Standards issues an urgent warning, advising citizens to cease using Ignite safety matches immediately. Rigorous testing has revealed potential safety hazards, prompting the Bureau to caution against purchasing or using the product. The public is encouraged to report any information regarding the sale of this product to the Bureau through phone 662-8827 or email implementation@ttbs.org.tt. 2 men are dead and another wounded following a shooting at Crown Point, Tobago on Tuesday night. Police say that gunmen showed up outside the Chill Out Bar at Milford Road, Crown Point, and opened fire sometime around 1 a.m. 3 people were shot and 2 of whom died at the scene. One victim has been identified as Akeem Freitas of Rockley Vale. Investigations are currently underway. Regionally, the Caribbean Court of Justice handed down a 20-year jail term on Wednesday to former President Daisy Boutoujou, implicating him on the murder of 15 men on December 8, 1982. Boutoujou, now 78, was not present during the court's ruling. This decision comes after Boutoujou appealed against his conviction, initially handed down in August 2021. The Court-Martial of Suriname had upheld the 2019 military court ruling, imposing a 20-year prison sentence. The legal proceedings spanned several years, culminating in the recent verdict. In 2017, Boutoujou, alongside 23 co-defendants, faced the military court after an earlier motion to hold the trial had been rejected by the Court of Justice. The charges stem from the December 8, 1982 murders of 15 individuals, a group that included journalists, military officers, union leaders, lawyers, businessmen, and university lecturers. Well, that's it. News on the hour on WESN. I am Sira Ali. Thank you for watching.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
My name is Carl Media. I am the founder and the host of Ever Increasing Voice Ministries. Join me every Saturday and Sunday on WESN, this powerful station, at 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. nightly. Also on Sundays, I'll be on at 7 a.m., 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. at night time. When you come here, we are getting people heavenly ready.
Let the home store turn your house into a home you love. We offer household items, lawn and garden, paint center, hardware, plumbing, lighting and electrical, toys and storage solutions. And just for you this Christmas, come check us out for great gift ideas and all your Christmas decorations. 6 convenient locations: 6th Avenue Barataria, The Falls at West Mall, Pennywise Plaza Chaguanas, C3 Center Branch, Christmas Store at C3 San Fernando, and Eastgate Mall, Trin City. Check out our Facebook page for more information and come visit us today. The Home Store. Turn your house into a home you love.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Naturally to us, unstoppable energy. We use it to manifest a future A future where energy takes new forms and is used in new ways for all of us. The new age of energy is here.
Simon's Musical Supplies Limited. We are the specialist in new and used musical instruments, carrying top brands like Yamaha, Pearl River pianos, vinyl and Sabian cymbals, Remo and Evans drumheads and Fender guitars, just to name a few. Also a wide assortment of music books, pan and accessories. At Simon's, we service what we sell. Trust the leader. Call us now at 625-6412 or visit us at 20 Board Street, Port of Spain. It's Christmas time, and with your family you'll spend every evening watching a movie on WESN. The classics that fill your heart with merriment and cheer as we celebrate together the most wonderful time of the year.
This is my island in December.
This Christmas, WESN celebrates with you as the content capital brings the big screen classics.
Yes!
Gather your family and tune in to WESN from December 1st to 31st at 8 p.m. nightly for We Christmas Movie Classics.
Santa's coming to town! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him!
Only on WESN, Content Capital.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. I thank my first two guests for the conversation this morning as I welcome my third and final guest. We get into a conversation about KAISO. Yes, KAISO. I'm happy to welcome to the program RAS Commander, Mr. Steve Pascal. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning to you, my brother. Good morning to your listeners. It's a pleasure to be here. Anything to impart knowledge to the populace and to the international community about Calypso and Calypso. I'm always willing. I'm always supportive.
No, well, thank you for making yourself available. Well, Calypso and KAISO tents. It is, listen, I enjoy a good Calypso and KAISO tent, but what is happening? I mean, last year we saw the numbers. There are very, very few people attending these tents. And then we're heading into a rather short season. It's going to be very intense. What are the plans for KAISO tents in 2024?
Well, I could tell you about our plans in KAISO Showcase, because being the chairman of Tuco South Central Zone as well, I have taken the mission to say to be more manager this year, 2020, and for the 2024 season, more manager as well as part-time performer to ensure that the product is well presented and is in such a way that maybe the main stakeholders, who are you guys, the fans, are willing to come. Our plan so far has been going on stream. We're marketing differently. We have brought on a lot of younger people in the tent for 2024. Not to say we throw the baby with the bathwater, but we felt that there is this growing amount of people out there, young people, who are willing to continue this great art form, Calypso. And we want to encourage them to be there, so we have selected quite a few of them. One of the major issues for us over the years, what we find is that the social or more the political commentaries have been creating some divisiveness in the society. So we felt the need that, listen, we want songs that, quote-unquote, beating on the two major leadership in the society, or the two major organizations in the society, if you had to deal with it. We feel everybody doing something, and we feel to tap on everybody. So we felt the need to look for some songs that doing that, we try not to create anything that is defamatory, to encourage anything that is defamatory to any particular individual. And we're looking for humor as well. We have looked for some humorous songs, because part of the Calypso genre was creating a chuckle, a laughter, evoking laughter from the people who are listening. So we try to maintain that as well as create other aspects of the art form, you know, soca chutney, party songs, you know, and the theme this year for us in Kaiso Showcase is stiffer than ever, playing on the song Stiff that Heaven Charles, our good friend Snakey, has produced and has been doing well, you know, all over the circuit. So that's the team this year for Kaiso Showcase. And that's our plans. I don't know about the other people's plan because everybody thinks differently. So, you know, but Kaiso Showcase, I can definitely tell you, we planning to package our product very different for 2024.
Now, Ras, you've been quoted as saying we are facing a time like never before. We are not getting the support from disc jockeys or radio stations. Do you think there's a lack of appreciation for the art form?
Yeah, well, as everything else, until we the art.
Where have you gone? What's going on there? You're
Yeah,
back on.
somebody tried to phone me, and that's why I don't like to use the phone, you know. Somebody tried to call me, so there's an interruption automatically. I wanted I asked to be excused for that, right?
No worries, no worries, go on.
What is going on is that we feel that there's not enough respect for this indigenous art form of Trinidad and Tobago, which is calypso music. Out of calypso, deal with this issue. It's a first step for me. People ringing you when you're doing a video. Oh, yeah,
go on, continue with your response.
Right, yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's not your fault.
Yes, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, we need to find a way to allow people to want to come to the tents. And how they will come to the tents? If I hear you singing a particular song on the radio or whatever, I say, boy, I want to see that man perform that song, boy. You know, so I will pay my money to come and see you perform. Right? So that is one of the things we want to encourage. We want to encourage the media to promote calypso some more, but we notice over the years that something is happening, and we understand it, you know, as artists. I talk up, you know, the calypsonian hat here now. As artists, we understand that everybody have the niche, everybody have the business, and you don't want to play calypso because you don't want to promote X or Y or Z. You feel that for whatever happen, your political party that you support getting too much a beat up. So I playing that song on my radio station, you know. I don't want that. Let me play more fet song. Let me play more song about rum and wine and naked woman and that kind of thing, and carry the society in a disorder. So we are playing social or political commentary, right? And that's some of the sadness we face. And we understand that the country has evolved, right? There was a time in the early 60s, 70s when my grandmother and them used to be going calypso tents, where the calypso tent was the only medium. Right? Carnival. So everybody run into the tent, they dress up nice, they go to the calypso tent, they sit down, they take any music. But over time, it seems that, quote unquote again, some calypsonians maybe have aligned themselves to whatever political party, right? And just like in Jamaica, it had the same kind of situation. Artists aligned themselves to political parties. It created all kind of problem in Jamaica. Well, you know, they shoot up Bob Marley, they do think this one, that one, because they feel they aligned with this political leader one. So maybe in Trinidad, we have been suffering with that same thing. So hence the reason you find some politicians tell their followers, don't go to the tent, don't buy these papers, don't do this, don't do that. Right? And you're old enough to know that these are statements have been made, like a political a situation might arise where certain papers write an article about a political leader, telephone us and don't buy that papers. So we know very well that radio stations have been doing it. They're not playing the calypso music for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. So if you're not hearing something, my brother, you would not be attracted to it. So over the years as well, elders was not bringing the younger people, the grandchild, the child, whatever, to the tents to take in a little show. Calypso tents have never been really vulgar in any way that the young people couldn't hear it, but we don't know why that the elders never used to carry the children to the tents to take in these songs. The children grew up without a taste for calypso in the ears, so they got a new taste which is the soca. Now, when the soca come on the scene, certain business people as well again try to create a division. So they pull the soca so and say that young people thing. And they push the calypso so and say that old people thing. So now young people in Trinidad say, telling you, me I sing, you know, Kaiso, now that old people thing. And me going to let Kaiso tend that old people thing. I want to hear soca.
But Ras, okay, hold on, let me interrupt you there because I understand what you're saying. But then what is it that's, what's not really working for Kaiso? Is it the talent that is not working for Calypso and Kaiso anymore? They're not necessarily attracting the audience. Is it the lyrics? Is it the, because put it this way, there seems to be a greater sense of appreciation even from younger generations for more old-time Calypso than the current, you know, talent that is being put out there. Not meant as an insult, but that's just a reality.
Yeah, well, we have a challenge there in that most of the Calypsonians these days, the younger one, heading for the competition. They're really looking for songs to compete. So you find the creativity that we had in the 60s, 70s from much of the elder Calypso those days. You know, we're not seeing it in this time because everybody wants to win a crown. So you're going by the writer who you feel could write a crown and all. You're getting a lot of big, fat lyrics. That's why we get a lot of complaints as well from the John public about the hymns and that kind of thing in competition. But competition can't be the only way, right? We have to find people who creating their own music, you know, because we get a lot of songs similar in style, and that's one of the challenges we're facing. But also the love. You see, the love, what is dying, as I keep saying, is the love for the art form, you know. It's an art form, and an art form is something special. You know, country and western in America is still country and western. You know, it's a change to no new name. It's country and western. Calypso is calypso. And if you come with something, a genre of music, you have to maintain calypso in reggae. It's dancehall reggae, whatever reggae. You know, but we want to call something soca. So you move from the word calypso, you carry a new word soca, and that's the problem. We're facing another problem because remember we evolving as a people. People taste different, you know. There was a time in your home, my home, we depending on we parents, we nanny, we aga, we granny, we grandpa, whoever, to cook a nice meal for we. Now if you tell a child, the child might come hungry. I say, well, look at that some body and rice there with talents. Oh God, nah, where want? And they call a brand name of a fast food. Automatically, because taste and all evolved there in home cooking. So we have to be careful when we're making statements that, listen, man taste and attention span is no longer the same. So you find we're more attracted, the generation at this point, more attracted to waste music, to vulgarity, as some of us might say. So that is it. But that love, we have to get back that love, my brother, and that's the challenge. So when you asking me, your station that you work on needs to support. Other station, other medium, whether it's radio, TV, needs to support in order not to destroy this great art form. Because that great art form, and it spawned many other genres of music, and we must respect that. And we can't give up. If we give up, my brother, well, we may as well say we die. But we can't say that. We, the practitioners, can't say that.
So you're making the argument that Calypso, Kaiso, is not dying, is not dead. It's just the love and appreciation for it.
Lovely. And I'm going to tell you why. Every year in this country, hundreds of young people singing Calypso. It's an organization that keeping different levels, pioneers, juniors, whatever. Tuco as an organization, we have a junior Calypso Mona. Every bank in Trinidad does have a competition. Nearly every radio station. I don't know, you should try one this year on your television station. They having schools having Calypso competition. The Calypso is alive and well. It's just because you guys look at the major competitions and draw your analysis. But Calypso is alive and well. And if you guys don't play it, you don't want to play Ras Commander, you know. But you can play Duke, you can play Shadow, you can play Sparrow and the whole year. Don't throw the baby out the bathwater, right? And if you don't like why he's singing, but there are many great songs. All right, let me ask you this song. You know there's a song by the name of Santa? It goes like this. Santa take a big man from St. James and tie him like a cow in mover. Sun and rain, wetting the man and he can't get away. poor fella. That was a real issue where policeman tie a man up and over. You know, and we had but you see, okay, you smile. You know, so the Zandolis, the ciphers, and them fellas, we're lacking that these days because every young person want to go in the competition. So normal things about a bacchanal in the community, a dog bite a man on the road, and the man run down the dog and bite it back. Nobody is singing about that.
No, Commander, bear in mind, you remember how long ago they used to write songs, right? And this is the unfortunate part, where now we are comparing the likes of Shadow and Kitchener and Sparrow to now. It's unfair because, right, everything evolves. But at the same time, long ago, yes, they used to write it for the competition. But the big part about it is as well is that even though the industry was smaller as compared to today, given how everything has expanded, remember they used to write it for Panorama as well? Remember, like Panorama last year, a lot of the bands were focusing on songs from the past and not songs from the present. Is that part of the problem?
That's the problem there, because everybody mindset changed. I want to win, so I feel I want to go back in time to pull a particular song. But if I had no choice but to pull a song from this year's creation, and 10 years later down the line, we will talk about a man who pull back a song in 2024. Like the same talk we're talking, somebody on your frequency who doing a program will talk about this time. So we always will be referring to what somebody do. But let me tell you something, my brother. Man's appetite and man's taste is an evolving situation. And we will continue to have discourses like this. We will continue to have narrative about the art form and what is happening. But I'm saying, as long as there's people like myself, a young man will reach my age sooner or later, and he will have the discussion, right? We must love this art form. This art form is ours. It's Trinbagonian, you know. Like the national anthem, we must love it. We must respect it, because out of Calypso, we got soca chutney, we got all the raga soca, we got the soca, we got the this thing what happening now. You want to call it?
Trinidad. Yeah.
Because your accent is what expresses who you are. If a man here, a man singing at Trinidad, you must know that Trinidadian. I mean, come on. And that is what differs us from other people. We must respect it. So we ain't throwing away we mother. That is the respect we are asking for. Respect your mother. You might like this song, but play a next song that you like. And everything have a taste. But remember when a man create, he didn't create out of stupidity, He create out of his own personal wisdom. The problem is that the young Calypsonian of today, he don't want to create his own thoughts. And that is a challenge. Everybody want to go and buy. They're lazy. No, they could have a discussion, I see intellectuals who singing Calypso feel that they don't have the potential to write, They could write an editorial. They could write all kind of things. They could write a love letter. But, they just don't feel. They don't have it inside them. They're not confident enough to believe that I could write a poem and just put some melody to it. And that is where that is a major challenge for us. How to get the youths and them to understand. We have been trying workshops. We have been trying all kind of different mechanisms to encourage young people. And I could say today that I will feel proud like people like Kivan Kalis, another young man.
So let me ask you, Commander, how is it that we're going to get people to come out and support the tents? How are we going to bring back the talent to the tents, the crowds to the tents? How are we even going to get the radio stations to play these songs and push these songs out there?
Number one, two-quarter organization had to get their own radio license, which we have been trying to get for the past 15, 20 years. We need that. Once we get that, we don't have that, we have to try to create your own internet radio stations and play the music. That is one method in terms of getting people to listen, because remember the world has evolved into that, right? Super information highway, the internet has opened up avenues for us. We must attract this new demographic, back to the tent by doing certain things. Some way we have to be creative, we have to market, which is what we're doing. We have infected social media with marketing of Kaiso Showcase. Anywhere you go, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you go, you're seeing it, right? We have to go next level, maybe is to go to the television stations, the radio station. We have been doing interviews on the print media as well. So we're finding ways to do it. Maybe we might have to try a cheaper cost to come through the door, you know? Something that will encourage people more, 2-on-1 ticket, wherever, you know, because people pocket as well. And you have to understand too, today people are scared to leave the home, especially a particular demographic. My son, he had no problem with that. He's about 26, my daughter is about 35. They don't have no problem. Maybe them could lie and think, but this is their world. But for me, I just get around so go there, no, because everybody have a gun, you know. So yeah. It's very challenging for me. So then the next thing that creating that less persons coming through the door at the Calypso tents. So we have to find a way to either sell it online, right? So people could buy in. You pay how much? $20 and you get to see Kaiso Showcase tonight or wherever. You know the mechanism. I am not skilled in that level. I skilled in writing the Kaiso, administrating the Kaiso and that kind of thing. But you know, so we have to find ways. There are people we can sit with. There Trinidad and Tobago have great thinkers, you know.
Yeah.
All we have to do is encourage people, pull the resources we have together, my brother, including yourself, and find new and meaningful ways to create that avenue of opportunity for the Calypsonian. He's part of Trinidad and Tobago, you know. He needs your help. He needs your support. It's a family down the road who sing Kaiso. It's an uncle and nephew, a neighbor who's singing Kaiso. So when we create that opportunity, we create it for all of us, not just one individual or two individuals. So maybe, my brother, frequencies like this way down to this morning is a good way of starting the thing. And I want to compliment you for encouraging me to be here this morning to see the article and grab it. You know, you was the first medium that really called me, you know, and I expect more medium to call me because based on what I said, you know, they will feel attracted to hearing more, you know. So these are some of the things. But trust me, the love, it's just love. How to bring back that love, and once we get back that love, it's smooth sailing.
Certainly. Hey, listen, Raskaman, thank you so much for joining me on the program this morning. I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation, and I'm glad we were able to have this introductory conversation, because there's certainly a lot more that we could speak about when it comes to Calypso and Kaiso here in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
It's a pleasure, my brother. And let me apologize for the interruption. That's why I like my laptop.
No worries at all, man. That's not your fault. That's not your...
Yeah, man.
Have a good one. And all the best.
Yeah, you too, man. Take care, right?
Take care.
You're blessed.
Steve Rascommander Pascal joining me this morning. And I mean, I do not disagree with what he is saying at all. You know, it's amazing. You could look at it and say, I mean, I've said it before. I admit I've said it before, that it seems as though Calypso and Kaiso is dying. But he's right. It's the appreciation, the love for such that is really diminishing. There is talent out there, you know. And I encourage people to get more involved and put their talents out there. But at the same time, do not take the art form for a joke. Don't just take it as a simple, silly way to try and push nonsense and just to make a bit of money and enter a competition. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, this is our art form. This is who we are. This is our own, you know. Anyway, thank you very much to my guests for joining me on AM Prime this morning. It certainly was a pleasure to have them and to have such discussions. And thank you very much to the hardworking team behind the closed doors, to Mr. Ryan Gomez-Burke and Mr. Milewood for their support and always making sure that AM Prime goes out there. And thank you, the viewer, for making this show exactly what it is. I'm Keaton Shaw. This has been WESN Content Capital, the premier platform for Caribbean content. Sing jing-a-ling, jing-a-ling. Anyway, I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.